You make decent money. You're not broke. You pay your bills, you save something. You're doing fine. But somehow, every year, it feels like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly speeding up. You get a raise, and suddenly your life gets more expensive. You save more, but your net worth barely moves. You're responsible, yet retirement still feels far away. And you keep telling yourself, once I make just a little more, everything will click. If that sounds uncomfortably familiar, yeah, this video's for you. Because today, we're talking about the middle-class wealth trap, the one nobody warns you about, the one that doesn't feel like failure, and the one that quietly keeps millions of smart, hardworking people stuck forever. My name's Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who do everything right with money still don't get rich. If you're someone who earns a stable income, tries to be financially responsible, but still feels like you're treading water instead of building real wealth, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if this video helps you out even a little, give it a thumbs up. It helps the channel a ton. Now, let's talk about the trap. The illusion of doing well. Here's the thing. The middle-class wealth trap is dangerous because it doesn't feel like a trap. There's no crisis, no overdraft fees, no maxed-out credit cards, at least not obviously. On paper, everything looks fine. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median household income in the U.S. is around $75,000. Yet the median net worth is only about $193,000, and most of that is tied up in a primary home, meaning decades of work and very little liquid wealth. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Nick, but $193,000 isn't terrible. And you're right, it's not terrible. But here's what most people don't realize. That number includes home equity, which you can't easily spend, invest, or use without debt. Strip that out, and suddenly a huge percentage of middle-class households have less than $30,000 in actual investable assets. After 20, 30, even 40 years of working. That's the trap. The deal every middle-class person makes without realizing it. At some point, most people unknowingly make this deal. I will trade wealth building for stability and comfort. And look, this isn't stupidity, it's human. Here's how it usually plays out. You start making decent money. You upgrade your apartment. You buy the nicer car because you can. You move into the good neighborhood. Each decision feels rational, responsible, earned. But collectively, they lock your financial future into a very narrow path, because middle-class wealth is optimized for monthly survival, not long-term freedom. The math that exposes the trap. Let me show you how this actually works with numbers. Say you make $80,000 a year. After taxes, maybe you take home $5,000 a month. Now, let's look at a responsible middle-class budget. Rent or mortgage, $1,800. Car payment plus insurance, $700. Utilities, phone, and internet, $300. Groceries, $600. Subscriptions, eating out, small fun, $400. Miscellaneous life stuff, $400. You're already at $4,200. That leaves $800. You save $500, you invest $300, and you feel good. Because you should. But here's the problem. At $300 a month invested, even at a strong 8% return, after 30 years, you end up with roughly $450,000. That's not financial freedom. That's not optional work. That's barely comfortable retirement if nothing goes wrong. And that's assuming you do this perfectly for 3 decades. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Why the middle-class wealth trap is psychological, not just financial. The real issue isn't the math, it's identity. Middle-class thinking prioritizes predictability, safety, appearance of success, avoiding embarrassment, which leads to decisions that feel good now but cap your upside forever. For example, A $600 car payment doesn't feel dangerous when you're earning well, but psychologically, it trains your brain to think in fixed monthly obligations, not opportunity cost. You don't ask, is this car worth $600? You ask, can I afford $600? And that question alone changes everything. The lifestyle inflation lie. Everyone knows lifestyle inflation is bad, but here's what most people don't realize. Lifestyle inflation doesn't destroy wealth by being reckless. It destroys wealth by absorbing future raises before you ever feel richer. Statistically, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average worker gets a 3 to 4% raise per year. But housing, cars, insurance, childcare, and healthcare often rise faster than that. So every raise just keeps you in place. You're not building leverage, you're just maintaining position. That's the middle-class wealth trap in its purest form. Why homeownership often makes it worse. Now this part usually makes people uncomfortable. Homeownership is not bad, but overbuying a home is one of the most common middle-class wealth destroyers. Here's why. When you buy a home at the top of what you can afford, three things happen. Your cash flow tightens, your risk tolerance drops, and your flexibility disappears. Suddenly, quitting a job feels terrifying. Starting a business feels irresponsible. Investing aggressively feels reckless. So you play safe, and safe rarely builds wealth. Addressing the objection. Now, you might be thinking, Nick, not everyone wants to start a business or take risks. Totally fair. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your entire financial life depends on one income stream, and most of that income is already allocated to fixed expenses, you are far more fragile than you think. Middle-class fragility isn't about income, it's about lack of optionality. The real difference between middle-class thinking and wealthy thinking. Here's the mindset shift. Middle-class thinking asks, how do I afford this? Is this normal for people like me? Will this look irresponsible? Wealthy thinking asks, does this increase or decrease future options? What is this money preventing me from doing later? Am I buying comfort or leverage? Rich people delay comfort to buy freedom. Middle-class culture does the opposite. The silent cost of being too responsible. This might sound harsh, but it matters. Being too responsible early on can quietly sabotage you. Why? Because the biggest wealth accelerators, business ownership, skill stacking, equity, asymmetric bets, require slack. Time slack, money slack, mental slack. If your life is optimized to the dollar, you can't take advantage of opportunities when they show up. Actionable steps. How to escape the trap. All right, let's get practical. Here's how you start breaking out. Number 1, cap your fixed expenses aggressively. Your housing plus car should not exceed 35 to 40% of your take-home pay. Not because it's smart, but because it buys you flexibility. Number 2, build a gap, not just a budget. The goal isn't saving money. The goal is creating a gap between what you earn and what you need. That gap is power. Number 3, use raises strategically. Every raise should go to investing, skill acquisition, reducing fixed obligations, not lifestyle, at least for the first few years. Number 4, buy assets before appearances. Nobody gets rich impressing people who don't pay them. Delay the signals of success. And number 5, increase income before optimizing expenses. There's a ceiling to frugality, but not to earning. Final motivation. Look, I'm not saying the middle class is bad. I'm saying the default path keeps people comfortable but stuck. And the most dangerous part? You don't feel stuck until decades pass. The good news is, once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. And small changes made early compound into massive freedom later. So if this video helped you rethink even one decision you're about to make, that's a win. I'm Nick, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.